Ah, my children, come closer and gather around the fire. I'm going to take you on a journey, lifting the fog of time and transporting you far back into the past. To those days when the stars in the sky were just beginning to shine and the earth was still fresh, when humanity was still taking its first steps. Those who walked the earth lived in the shadows of the rulers of the heavens. Yes, the place I'm talking about is the magnificent world of Greek mythology, a legendary age where the gods clashed with one another and humans bowed under their will. Let me take you to that time, to Mount Olympus, where the mighty Zeus sits at the summit. There you will hear far more than just the whispers carried by the wind. You will feel the challenges thrown between the gods, how they intervened among mortals, and the oaths of wind and air. But like every story, this one also needs a beginning. Before the world emerged from chaos, there were powerful gods shaped from the darkness. Gaia, born from the first child of the universe, Chaos, was recognized as the Earth Mother. She was the beginning of everything. Mountains, seas, and skies sprang from her womb. But Gaia was not alone. Alongside her, Uranus, the sky, wrapped the world in his endless blue, asserting dominion over all. And it is these two beings that laid the foundation for the creation of the world and the gods. However, my children, this story does not have a simple and serene beginning. The world of the gods has always been the cradle of great struggles, deep betrayals, and unforgettable victories. The colossal titans and terrifying monsters that emerged from Gaia's womb revolted against the god of the sky, sparking a great war. This first conflict among the gods was a harbinger of what was to come, for this war would determine the balance of the universe. Would the heavens prevail, or would the earth? At the heart of our story lies this conflict. Within this world shaped by the birth of the gods, power struggles, and epic events, there are not only mighty beings but also significant events that shape the fate of humanity. On this long journey, I will guide you from the heights of Olympus to the depths below, through the most terrifying labyrinths to the most terrifying labyrinths, to the most sacred temples. My children, open your ears, for soon we will step into the world of the gods. But before we embark on this journey, you must understand one thing. In Greek mythology, every event, every struggle, is a precursor to the next great tale. Ah, my children, come closer and gather around the fire. I'm about to take you back to that dark and silent moment when everything began. Imagine a void beyond time and space, where everything is intertwined, and there's no order at all. This place was an infinite emptiness ruled by chaos. There was no sky, no land, no light, and no darkness. The beginning of everything lay hidden within this uncertainty. But from this very chaos, the universe's first vibrations emerged. The first stirrings were born from chaos, and the universe itself took shape from the infinite void. Yes, these were the first steps of cosmos born from chaos. The first being to emerge from the depths of chaos was the mighty Gaia. Oh, my children, Gaia, the Earth Mother, was not just the creator of the earth, mountains, and seas, but also the very essence. The world was born from her body. She was the mother of everything. Gaia also gave birth to the vastness of the sky, which we call Uranus. Uranus was like a covering wrapping around Gaia, enveloping everything. Together, Gaia and Uranus established the universe's first kingdom. But this kingdom wasn't just a unity, it was populated by beings birthed from the union gods and colossal titans. The titans were so powerful and immense that each one was as strong as a mountain peak and as deep as an ocean. But my children, Gaia and Uranus's children, were not ordinary beings. The firstborn were gods and titans. They were the first architects of order emerging from chaos. Oceanus, the ruler of the oceans, Hyperion, the fiery lord of the skies, and Thea, the goddess of light and splendor. Yet among these titans, the most fearsome were the gigantic and monstrous beings born from Gaia's dark womb. The Cyclopes and the Hecatoncheires, the hundred-handed giants, emerged as the most chaotic creatures in this world. This uneven distribution of power among the brothers laid the groundwork for the universe's first great war. However, Uranus was afraid of his children. He was aware of their powers and saw his own reign in danger. This fear turned him into a cruel and ruthless ruler. Uranus imprisoned his children, the Cyclopes and the Hecatoncheires, in the depths of the earth within Gaia's womb. He never wanted to see them. But my children, Gaia as a mother, when she felt her children suffering, her heart ached, and Gaia's fury sparked events that would change the fate of the universe. The Earth Mother knew that her children were being oppressed and was seeking revenge. Gaia called upon her other children, the Titans. Her son Cronus answered this call. Cronus volunteered to end his father Uranus's cruel reign. And here, my children, the seeds of the first great betrayal among the gods were sown. Cronus defeated his father with a sharp sickle given by his mother and deposed him from the throne. Uranus's blood spilled onto the ground, and from those droplets of blood, new lives were born. One of them was the massive Uranus, some of the most dangerous figures among the Olympian gods. Cronus had taken his father's place and become the new ruler. However, this victory would come at a heavy price, because in the cycle of the universe, every new ruler would not escape the mistakes of their predecessor. Just as Cronus had overthrown his father, his own children would one day overthrow him. The web of fate was being woven in this way, and the first prophecies of the universe began to take shape with these first gods born from chaos. So, my children, this is how the order of the universe born from chaos was established. The children of Gaia and Uranus laid the foundations of the universe. But the world built on these foundations would always be filled with the struggle between balance and chaos. This new era, beginning with Cronus' victory, would mark the start of humanity's greatest epics in the tales of the gods. Ah, my children, this is just the beginning. The world of the gods will be a stage for new storms at every moment. Cronus' struggle with his own children will shake the balance of the universe once again. The echoes of this epic war initiated by Gaia and Uranus will be felt throughout human history. Get ready, because very soon I will share with you even deeper and more shocking stories about the world of the gods. My children, I've told you about how the cosmos shaped itself from the first pains of the universe, starting from chaos. Now it's time to talk about how that first order was shaken, the rise of the Titans, and the birth of the mightiest of gods. Listen closely, for this is the story of events that forever changed the balance of the universe. After Cronus overthrew his father Uranus, he became the new ruler of the universe. He ruled alongside his siblings during this time, which is known as the Age of the Titans. Cronus was the god of time, everything was under his control. Yet even with such absolute power, he couldn't find peace. The shadow of fate loomed over him like a heavy burden. Shortly after his father's downfall, he faced a prophecy from Gaia. One day, you too will be overthrown by one of your own children. This prophecy filled Cronus with fear. Just like his father Uranus feared his own children, Cronus knew he couldn't escape the cycle of fate. But Cronus was determined to fight against this prophecy. While the Titans controlled the earth and sky, Cronus began having children with his wife Hera. However, my children, a dark decision was made here. Cronus devoured each child as soon as they were born. Yes, you heard that right. Zeus, Hades, Poseidon, Hera, Demeter, and Hestia were all swallowed by Cronus right after birth. He had imprisoned his own children within himself, trying to prevent them from growing up and waging war against him. Oh, what great cruelty and what great fear. However, my children, fate always finds a way. No matter how cruel Cronus was, Hera could no longer bear the loss of her children one by one. When her last child, Zeus, was born, she devised a plan. She hid Zeus in a cave in Crete and tricked Cronus into swallowing a stone, pretending it was another child. Zeus was raised in that cave by the forces of nature and the spirits of the earth. The nymphs and mountain goddesses in Crete watched over him. While he grew up silently and secretly, Hera knew the day of vengeance would come. Zeus grew strong, and when the time came, he took action to fulfill his destiny. A war that would shake the universe once again was on the horizon. Zeus made a plan to overthrow his father Cronus and cunningly executed it. He gave Cronus a special potion that forced him to regurgitate his swallowed siblings one by one. Yes, Zeus's power was not just physical strength, it was also combined with intelligence and cunning. Thus Hades, Poseidon, Hera, Demeter, and Hestia were freed. But my children, this was not the end. With Cronus' downfall, the Titans waged a great war against Zeus and his siblings. This was the Titanomachy, perhaps the greatest war in the universe. The Titans, under Cronus' leadership, fought for control over the earth and sky, while Zeus and his siblings battled for freedom and a new order. Mountains trembled, seas roared, lightning, earthquakes, and floods turned the battlefield into a hell. Zeus fought against the Titans using his greatest weapon, his lightning bolts. His lightning tore through the skies and melted mountains. Hades called upon the powers of the underworld, and Poseidon summoned the might of the seas in this great battle. Although the Titans were powerful, they were ultimately defeated. The strength of Zeus and the unity of his siblings crushed the Titans. Cronus was overthrown from his throne, just like his father Uranus, and the Titans were chained deep in Tartarus. My children, after this victory, a new age began. Zeus became the new ruler of the universe and settled on Mount Olympus. He was now the king of the gods. From the peak of Olympus, Zeus and his siblings began to rule over humanity and the world. Zeus's lightning symbolized his absolute power, while Hades became the lord of the underworld and Poseidon the ruler of the seas. The gods of Olympus were the new architects of fate. But my children, even behind this victory lay a new struggle. Zeus's reign would be filled with challenges. betrayals, and endless power struggles, just like the previous Rayos. Ah, my children, in this new age that begins with Zeus's victory, the world of the gods will change once again, giving birth to colossal wars and legends. At the peak of Olympus, the relationship between gods and humans will become even more complex. Prepare yourselves, for the world of the gods will unfold before us with even deeper secrets and intrigues. Ah, my children, we've stepped into the heights of Olympus now. The realm of the gods is the center of victories, betrayals, and power struggles. Zeus's lightning bolts, the might of the seas, and the dark secrets of the underworld. Now I'm going to tell you about the four great gods of Olympus, their reigns, and the complex relationships among them. These aren't just ordinary stories, they're events that shape the very fabric of the universe. Zeus, the king of the gods, the ruler of the skies. You see him in the heavens, wielding lightning bolts. Every flash of lightning and rumble of thunder is a reminder of his power. But Zeus is more than just the god of lightning. He's the protector of order and justice. He sits at the top of Olympus, overseeing the other gods and humanity. However, my children, Zeus's reign was never easy. He faced challenges and obstacles just like any leader would. Think of him not just as a god, but as a leader smart as his lightning bolts, determined and cunning. He had to share dominion over the world with his brothers Hades and Poseidon, yet he remained the strongest and most supreme among them. Ah, but Zeus's story doesn't end with ruling the skies. He is also the god of love and betrayal. The strongest emotion of humanity, love, often got in the way of his duties. His affairs with other gods, mortals, and nymphs cast shadows over his reign. But who could stand against Zeus? Every relationship, every betrayal could unleash a storm, and the biggest target of those storms was always Hera. Ah, Hera, Zeus's wife, the goddess of marriage and family. She's the protector of sacred bonds and a symbol of motherhood and loyalty. But Hera's story wasn't always straightforward. She might have been the strongest woman among the gods. Despite Zeus's many betrayals, she stood by him in Olympus. Her name, power, and might upheld the sanctity of marriage. But my children, Hera's heart didn't forgive easily. Every affair Zeus had with mortals fueled her anger. Sometimes her wrath was so powerful it challenged even the gods. Her fury didn't just focus on Zeus, it extended to the mortals born from those forbidden loves. Ah, my children, Hera's anger echoed through Olympus. Yet she continued to sit on her throne as the queen of the gods. Her power was felt not just beside Zeus, but as one of the strongest rulers of Olympus. Now I must tell you about Poseidon, the lord of the seas, the ruler of the waves. Poseidon embodied the vast power of the oceans. When you think of him, remember the deep oceans, stormy seas, and mighty waves. His power was felt not just in the seas, but also in earthquakes and on land. His trident would split the seas and shake the earth. However, Poseidon's character was as unpredictable as the oceans themselves. Sometimes calm and peaceful, other times as fierce as a raging sea. He was a god who accepted the prayers of sailors and ruled the depths of the ocean. But my children, Poseidon's fury was just as terrifying. If someone disrespected his seas or incurred his wrath, they would struggle against mighty waves and get lost in storms. Poseidon's kingdom ruled not just over the seas, but also over lost civilizations like Atlantis. Treasures hidden in the depths of the oceans, secrets and creatures beyond mortal imagination were all part of Poseidon's world. Sailors wouldn't set sail without invoking his name, praying for safety among the waves. Many kings and heroes have been crushed beneath Poseidon's angry waves. But my children, then there's Hades, the dark ruler of the underworld. Hades is the lord of the dead, the guardian of souls on their eternal journey. His kingdom is hidden far from the living world, deep in the earth, shrouded in shadows. Hades doesn't sit on a magnificent throne like Zeus and Poseidon. He doesn't create storms or part the seas. His realm is quiet yet incredibly powerful. Hades governs the final destination of mortals. He decides where souls go who finds eternal peace and who suffers endless torment. Hades is often misunderstood. You shouldn't think of him as a bad god, my children. He's simply the ruler of the dead, reigning in darkness but justly. His judgment is firm, and in the underworld, through which everyone must pass after death, he is the mightiest god. Ah, my children, Hades' kingdom is eerie, but it is also part of the order. Without his world, life wouldn't have meaning, because every end heralds a new beginning. Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. They are brothers, but each rules over their own domain. There's a balance among the three, but it can be disrupted at any moment. At the highest peak of Olympus, in the depths of the seas, and in the dark corridors of the underworld, the reign of the gods has always been a scene of unending struggle. Although each is the master of their kingdom, my children, the touch of fate can spark new wars and alliances among these powerful brothers at any time. Ah, my children, as we descend from the sacred peak of Olympus, we encounter the gods and goddesses, each possessing unique powers and holding the fabric of the universe in their hands. Each of these divine beings carries a story, a legend. But today I will speak to you about the gods of wisdom, strategy, art, nature, war, and love. I will share not just their names, but also the passions in their hearts and the worlds they rule. First up is Athena. Ah, the goddess of wisdom and strategy. Intelligent and the rational leader of the battlefield, she is the protector of cities. Athena was born fully armed from Zeus's head, equipped with wisdom. What sets her apart from Ares, the god of war, is her belief that battles can be won not just through brute force and bloodshed, but through strategy and intellect. My children, Athena teaches us that winning a war isn't just about swords and spears, it's also about smart choices and clear thinking. One of her greatest victories was undoubtedly the Trojan War, where her strategies played a crucial role. But Athena isn't just about war, she's also the protector of art and crafts. The city of Athens bears her name, and the magnificent temples built in her honor show the respect for her wisdom. But alongside Athena is another important god, Apollo, the god of light, music, and prophecy. Apollo is one of Zeus's sons and one of the most beloved gods of Olympus. He symbolizes the sun rising in the east each morning and setting in the west. Apollo's light represents not only physical brightness but also spiritual enlightenment. He is a source of inspiration for artists, musicians, and poets. Anyone who hears the sound of his lyre deeply feels what inspiration is all about. But Apollo is not just the god of music, he is also the god of prophecy. In the famous temple at Delphi, priests would deliver prophecies in his name, offering glimpses into the future. Kings, warriors, and even ordinary people sought his words to learn about what was to come. His prophecies could be as simple as a hint or as complex as a riddle, but they always carried meaning. Apollo's twin sister, Artemis, reigns in a different realm. She is the goddess of the hunt, the wilderness, and the moon. Artemis hunts deep in nature, among the silent shadows of the forests. Her arrows find their target with perfect precision, and each shot is a sure victory. As the protector of hunters and wild animals, Artemis teaches respect for nature. Her tranquility in the wild can still be felt even amidst the chaos of modern times. Under the light of the moon, those who roam like solitary wolves find her quiet peace. Artemis is also the protector of young girls, symbolizing purity and freedom. Her forests serve as a refuge for those escaping the turmoil of the cities. The focus and quiet patience of a hunter come from Artemis's guidance. However, my children, Olympus isn't just about strategy and nature. There's also the raw, destructive power of war. Enter Ares, the god of war, chaos, and bloodlust. Ares revels in the thrill of battle, representing the wild nature of warfare. He fights with pure strength, rage, and fury. Other gods sometimes look down on Ares because he embodies the brutal face of war. But remember, every battle has both a strategic and physical aspect. Ares' power creates chaos on the battlefield, awakening anger and courage within soldiers. However, his bloody path often doesn't sit well with other gods and mortals. He brings with him the ugliness of war and the inevitable destruction that follows. Yet the brutality of Ares on the battlefield gives way to love and beauty in the world of Aphrodite. Ah, Aphrodite, the goddess of love, beauty, and allure. She is one of Olympus's most enchanting figures, and her presence ignites fires in hearts. The influence of Aphrodite is felt not only among the gods but also among mortals. Her beauty is inspiring, and sometimes it leads to disaster. With the power of love, mountains can be moved, kings can bow down, and even empires can crumble under her romantic games. Aphrodite embodies the enchanting side of love. But remember, love brings not only happiness but also pain. She can both unite hearts and tear them apart. Ah, my children, these 5 gods of Olympus have left deep marks in the world of mortals, not just through their powers, but through their characters. The wisdom of Athena, the light of Apollo, the nature of Artemis, the rage of Ares, and the enchanting magic of Aphrodite. Each is unique in their domain, yet together they create the great balance of Olympus. They are not just gods, they are also the very beings that shape life itself. Ah, Prometheus, the ancient titan filled with wisdom and rebellion. He wasn't just an ordinary god, my children. Prometheus was known not only for his strength but also for his foresight. Unlike other titans who acted out of blind rage, he used his intellect to illuminate humanity's future. But his story isn't just one of a blessing. An act of kindness, it's also the beginning of a tragedy. I will tell you Prometheus's brave yet painfully tragic story. It's a tale that makes anyone who hears it understand how humanity first came to know fire and the heavy price they paid for it. Prometheus was a figure from the generation of Titans, but unlike the others, he defied Zeus's rule and survived the great war between the gods of Olympus and the Titans. While Zeus imprisoned most of the Titans underground, Prometheus somehow managed to strike a deal with him. However, Prometheus had his sights set not on the gods but on humanity. Yes, humanity. At that time, people lived in darkness, miserable and defenseless. They existed in a world where Zeus and his gods paid no heed to their fate. There was no fire, no light, no hope. On those cold nights, people trembled, resigned to their fate. Prometheus wanted to change this situation. One night, an idea struck Prometheus to give fire to humanity. But this wasn't an easy task, as fire belonged to the gods. Fire only shone at the peak of Olympus, and only the gods could wield this sacred power. But Prometheus decided to take this risk for the sake of humanity. After all, the absence of fire was what separated humans from the gods' fire would be the spark of civilization. Thus Prometheus quietly ascended to the heights of Olympus, among the gods. He took a piece of the gods' fire to a small torch he held. That fire would not only illuminate but would also represent humanity's future, their wisdom and their strength. I can still picture the moment when Prometheus gave fire to humanity. Ah, my children, that moment when fire first blazed in human hands was like a beam of light rising in the darkness, that magical instant. People looked at the fire first in shock, then in awe. Until that time, these beings had been tossed about in darkness, shivering in the cold, but now they were a bit closer to the power of the gods. The fire did not just provide warmth, it taught humanity to cook, to work with metal, to forge weapons for war, and ultimately, to build civilization. Prometheus took humanity one step forward. But remember, this brave act came at a cost. When Zeus learned of Prometheus's betrayal, he flew into a rage. He could not accept that humans had come so close to the gods. By stealing fire and giving the power of the gods to humanity, Prometheus directly challenged Zeus's authority. And that challenge could not go unanswered. Zeus expressed his anger toward Prometheus with an endless punishment. Prometheus was chained to the Caucasus Mountains. Every day an eagle would come and eat his liver. At night his liver would grow back, and in the morning the eagle would return to inflict the same torture. Ah, my children, just think about it, experiencing the same pain over and over again each day. And this punishment would last forever. However, despite all this suffering, Prometheus did not lose his pride, for the fire burning within him was his anger toward the gods and his love for humanity. As humanity continued to use the power of fire, they knew that there was meaning behind the pain Prometheus endured. He was a wise rebel. His courage brought light to humanity, laying the foundations of civilization. Prometheus's punishment, my children, though filled with pain, eventually led to the emergence of a savior. Zeus's son Heracles defied his father's wrath and rescued Prometheus from this eternal torment. Heracles broke the chains that bound Prometheus and set him free. However, Prometheus's courage continued to resonate throughout human history. He was remembered as humanity's friend, enlightener, and selfless protector. The moment he brought fire was not just a spark, but ignited an everlasting light in the spirit of humanity. Ah, my children, Prometheus's story reminds us that the price of freedom and knowledge is always heavy. As long as humanity pays this price, they continue to build their civilization. Prometheus is not just a titan, he is the hope, courage, and light of humanity. Ah, Pandora. Oh, my children, now I will tell you one of humanity's most heartbreaking fates, the story of Pandora. When Prometheus brought fire to humanity, it angered the gods so much that their rage wasn't limited to him alone. Zeus wanted to teach humanity a lesson as well. Empowered by fire and knowledge, humans had started to challenge the gods. So Zeus decided to devise a more cunning and profound plan to punish them, a punishment that would bring endless troubles to humanity, a curse that would spread infinite suffering, sickness, and misery throughout human history. And this curse was named Pandora. My children, remember, although the gods are immortal and powerful, they too have weaknesses, anger and jealousy, just like humans. Guided by these flaws, Zeus decided to create Pandora. She would be the perfect, most elegant being he would send as punishment to humanity. Pandora was crafted like a work of art by the gods. Hephaestus gave her a beautiful body, Athena bestowed wisdom and grace upon her, and Aphrodite gifted her enchanting beauty. Hermes added cunning and curiosity to her nature. And Zeus gave Pandora a gift, that famous box. He handed it to her with a warning that it held a secret that must never be opened. Ah, Pandora. No matter how beautiful and innocent she appeared, beneath that innocence lay the seeds of disaster. When Zeus sent her to humanity, Pandora became the embodiment of the gods' anger toward humankind. One day, Pandora crossed paths with Epimetheus, Prometheus's brother. Ah, Epimetheus. Unlike his forward-thinking brother Prometheus, he acted without thought. Prometheus had warned him, don't accept any gifts from the gods. But Pandora's beauty and allure captivated Epimetheus, making him forget the warning, and he married her. So, my children, Pandora's box crossed humanity's path after this marriage, like a cruel twist of fate. The gods had told her never to open this box. But Pandora's curiosity grew stronger by the day. What was inside that box? Why was she told not to open it? The oldest human passion, curiosity, pulled Pandora toward that forbidden secret, and that day would change humanity's fate forever. One day, unable to resist any longer, Pandora opened the box. Oh, just imagine, my children, the calamities that poured out as that box opened. Diseases, suffering, jealousy, greed, wars, and death. Each disaster sprang from the box and spread across the world. Humanity was confronted with troubles it had never known before. Diseases ravaged human bodies, wars burned down villages, and greed turned friends into foes. When the lid of the box was closed, things had taken a turn from which there was no return. From that moment on, pain became an inseparable companion of humankind. But my children, this story isn't entirely dark. After opening the box, Pandora quickly tried to close it, only to realize that something remained inside. In the depths of the box, behind the darkness and the suffering, there was a small, faint light hope. Yes, no matter how much pain Zeus sent to humanity, he had not left them completely hopeless. That small light represented humanity's strength to survive despite all the challenges they faced. And that hope was the only consolation left from the box Pandora had opened. No matter how thick the darkness, hope would always be by humanity's side, giving them the strength to endure. Pandora's box teaches us an important lesson, my children. Although the pains and struggles humanity faces may seem endless, there is always a light of hope behind them. No matter how cruel Zeus's plan may be, people always carry that hope within them. And that hope is the greatest force that sustains humanity and carries it into the future. Pandora was not only a harbinger of disasters, but also the bearer of the most essential emotion needed for humanity to survive in this world. Ah, my children, the story of Pandora's box shows us not only humanity's weakness in the face of divine power, but also narrates the source of strength that lies within humankind. No matter how many challenges we face, hope will always exist after every disaster. Ah, Hercules. My children, now I will tell you the story of one of the greatest heroes, endowed with the power of the gods but cursed by human fate. Hercules is a legend, known for his courage and strength, but also wrapped in tragedy. His story is shaped not only by brute force, but by determination, pain, and duty. This hero's destiny hinged on completing 12 difficult tasks. It all began when Hercules' mother, Alcmene, gave birth to a child from Zeus, the king of the gods. However, this event drew the wrath of Zeus's wife, Hera. Zeus had many illegitimate affairs, but Hercules' birth pushed Hera over the edge. From that moment, she relentlessly pursued Hercules, playing countless tricks on him to turn his life into a nightmare. Yet somehow Hercules managed to escape Hera's wrath time and again. But one day she succeeded in mentally defeating him, clouding his mind and causing him to kill his own family. This horrific event filled Hercules with guilt and regret. At that moment, he realized that being a hero requires more than just physical strength. It also requires a spirit capable of bearing such a heavy burden. My children, this is where Hercules' 12 tasks begin. These tasks were given to him by a prophecy, allowing him to atone for his sins and purify his soul. He had to serve kings and accomplish challenging, dangerous tasks. But these were not just ordinary tasks. Each one would test the limits of humanity and confront creatures that even the gods feared. The first task was to defeat the Nemean lion. Ah, this lion. Its hide was so thick that no weapon could harm it. Hercules couldn't defeat it with a sword or arrows. But our hero had to combine intelligence with strength, right? Hercules strangled the beast with his bare hands. Then he made its skin into armor for himself. Now Hercules was not only strong but also equipped with wisdom and courage. In his second task, he faced the Hydra, a 9-headed creature. Every time one head was cut off, 2 more would grow back. Ah, what a terrifying creature. But Hercules used his wits, and with his nephew Iolaus they burned each head as it was severed, overcoming this monster. Thus Hercules claimed his second great victory. The tasks kept coming one after the other. In another challenge, he had to capture the sacred stag of Artemis. This creature was so fast that no mortal could catch it. but Hercules managed to do so through patience and determination. After that, he hunted the man-eating Stymphalian birds and cleaned the enormous Augean stables. Just think about the difficulties in these tasks. Thousands of obstacles to overcome and new threats at every step. In another tough task, he pursued the Minotaur in Crete. The Cretan bull was a massive creature sent by Poseidon, the powerful god of the sea. Hercules managed to capture it and bring it back to the king. These tasks were not just tests of strength, they were challenging trials that tested his spirit too. But my children, among all the tasks, perhaps the most challenging was bringing back the golden apples of the Hesperides. To obtain these apples, Hercules had to temporarily carry the sky on his shoulders, which belonged to the Titan Atlas. The weight of the sky was a burden that even the gods regarded with caution. Yet Hercules accepted this load without hesitation. This was a moment when his physical and spiritual strength reached its peak. The final task was to descend into the realm of the dead, the underworld. Capturing Cerberus, Hades' three-headed dog, meant surviving that world. Just think about that dark, gloomy underworld. No mortal could go there and return alive. But Hercules controlled this creature, which even the gods feared, and returned to the surface. My children, Hercules' 12 tasks don't just tell a tale of heroism. These tasks symbolize confronting the deepest fears, weaknesses, and inner battles of humanity. Each task is like a test of the human spirit. Hercules faced these challenges not just with his muscles, but also with his mind and spirit. His story teaches us that the greatest power is not merely physical strength, the heart and mind are just as important. The tale of Theseus and the Minotaur. It's a story that sends chills down your spine, where fear and courage dance together. Are you ready to dive deep into Greek mythology? Gather round the fire, and let me tell you this heroic story from long, long ago. Back in those days, King Minos of Crete was a powerful and cruel ruler. With the power he inherited from his father Zeus, he became the master of the seas and the islands. But Minos' strength and fame didn't just come from his father. He had a dark secret, living with a monster that no one knew about, the Minotaur. This creature had the body of a man and the head of a massive bull. The Minotaur was hidden deep within a massive structure called the labyrinth, built so intricately that anyone who entered would never find their way out again. King Minos had a debt to this terrifying beast. Every year, young men and women from Athens were sent as sacrifices. They would all get lost in the labyrinth and fall victim to the Minotaur's savage claws. Could the Athenians bear this situation? Could they endure every year while their king wept and watched this cruel arrangement? During this time, our hero Theseus stepped forward. A noble prince of Athens, he was a heart that couldn't stand this cruelty any longer, a champion of courage and justice. Theseus decided to sail to Crete and challenge the Minotaur. But his plan was not just to defeat the monster, he aimed to free his people from this curse forever. As young Theseus set off from Athens, the people sent him off with love. But in everyone's heart was a fear, for no one had ever returned alive from the Minotaur. King Aegeus made a promise to his son: if he returned safely from this journey, he would sail back with white sails. Otherwise, he would come back with black sails, meaning he would bring news of death. When Theseus arrived in Crete, fate played its hand, and Minos' daughter, Ariadne, fell in love with him. As part of the royal family, Ariadne was the only one who knew the secrets of the labyrinth, and she decided to help her beloved. Ariadne's cleverness would be just as crucial as Theseus's bravery in this struggle. Just a ball of thread, yes, just a ball of thread. This thread, which Theseus would drop while entering the labyrinth, would guide him back out. Theseus, filled with courage, entered the labyrinth with Ariadne's plan in mind. With every step, the darkness grew thicker, and he could almost hear the Minotaur's wild breath around every corner. Navigating through pitch blackness, tangled paths, and seemingly endless corridors, he finally came face to face with the Minotaur. That moment was the most critical point in a man's destiny. Even seeing the Minotaur's eyes filled with hatred, hunger, and savagery didn't stop Theseus. He walked toward the monstrous creature with his sword drawn. The battle began. Every strike echoed off the stone walls of the labyrinth, and with each step, Theseus's courage grew. While it was thought no one could survive against the Minotaur's might, Theseus overcame this fearsome beast with both wit and strength. He plunged his sword into the Minotaur's chest, and with a crash, the monster fell to the ground. The labyrinth fell into deep silence. But Theseus hadn't forgotten that victory was not just about defeating the Minotaur. He still had to find his way out of this complex structure. At that point, Ariadne's thread came into play. Following the thread, he navigated the dark corridors and emerged victorious in Crete. The people celebrated Theseus's bravery, but victory was not just the end of a battle, it was the story of a people finding their freedom. Theseus left Crete with Ariadne, but on their journey he committed a grave injustice by abandoning her on the island of Naxos. Legends say that here, Ariadne was comforted by Dionysus. However, Theseus's pain didn't end there. On his way back to Athens, he forgot to raise the white sails, and when King Aegeus saw the black sails, he jumped into the Aegean Sea, believing his son was dead. That's how the Aegean Sea got its name. Theseus's legendary journey teaches us that victory doesn't always lead to joy sometimes. Great heroism is shadowed by great loss. Yet, his courage and the fight he waged for his people have etched themselves in our memories as a heroic tale that still resonates today. And so, dear friends, this story comes to an end, but the courage of Theseus continues to live on somewhere within all of us. Ah, Perseus and Medusa. When I close my eyes, I can almost see those ancient times come to life. In the world of gods and heroes, the threads of fate were always being woven. Perseus, the son of Zeus, was a favorite among the gods, but this journey would confront him with one of humanity's greatest fears. Medusa. Oh, those cursed gazes. Known for her hair of snakes and her petrifying eyes, this creature was once a symbol of beauty. While serving in Athena's temple, a fateful encounter with the gods changed her destiny forever. Athena transformed Medusa into that horrifying form, and that moment marked the beginning of her cursed life. But the subtle twists of fate didn't stop there. Medusa was not just a bearer of a curse, but also of a sacred power. She was a part of a story that would become a hero's epic. Perseus was thrust into this dangerous quest by the schemes of Polydectes. The king's real goal was to get rid of Perseus by sending him on this impossible mission. But Perseus had divine blood running through his veins, so he set out with the help of the gods. Hermes gave Perseus a divine sword, and Athena provided him with a shield to protect him from Medusa's deadly gaze. What a tremendous gift, and what immense courage this task required. With his target in mind and weapons in hand, Perseus journeyed toward the desolate lands where the Gorgons dwelled. In the dark depths of the caves, his only hope to escape Medusa's deadly gaze was to use the reflection from Athena's shiny shield. As the legends tell, Perseus did not look directly into Medusa's eyes. He watched the terrifying creature only through the reflection in the shield. Then, in an instant, he swung his sword. That sharp blade found its mark on Medusa's neck, and at that moment, her curse came to an end. But even her death heralded a new beginning, for from Medusa's severed neck flowed blood that birthed the flying horse, Pegasus. Ah, Perseus's story doesn't end there. With Medusa's head in hand, he went on to have many more adventures. But that head brought many enemies to their knees. Even after her death, Medusa's deadly gaze continued to aid Perseus in his victories. and this tale has been told from generation to generation for thousands of years. Perseus's bravery, Medusa's tragedy, and the complex games of the gods. Every detail, every touch, has turned into one of the greatest legends in human history. The story of Perseus and Medusa remains etched in our minds as a tale of intertwined strength and weakness. And so, my friends, this saga reminds us that everything is interconnected, and that the fates of gods and mortals are inseparable. The Trojan War. The shadow of those dark days still lingers over us, even centuries later. It all began with Paris's choice. It seemed like an innocent decision, but fate's touch led this story down a much deeper abyss. Paris. Oh, Paris. The young and handsome prince of Troy found himself faced with three great goddesses, Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite. Each offered him bribes, a life filled with power, wisdom, and victory, or unmatched beauty. Paris chose Aphrodite's offer. His choice was Helen, the wife of Menelaus, the king of Sparta, and the most beautiful woman in the world. But this choice didn't just create a love story, it sparked the bloodiest war in history. When Paris took Helen and fled to Troy, the entire Greek world erupted in fury. Menelaus went to his brother Agamemnon, fueled by a fire of revenge. The Greek armies were assembled, and legendary warriors were called upon. Each was a hero of their own tale. Perhaps the most famous among them was Achilles. Achilles, the invincible hero of the battlefield, the son of the goddess Thetis. But Achilles' rage was directed not just at the Trojans, but at the whole world. He was a warrior who defied the gods, and this challenge would ultimately right his tragedy. The Trojan War lasted for 9 years, but the fate of the war was perhaps determined by a single duel, the one between Achilles and Hector. Hector, the honorable prince of Troy, a brave warrior. Achilles was like a lightning bolt fueled by anger. Hector had to pay for the mistakes of his brother Paris. After the death of his closest friend Patroclus, Achilles harbored a terrible hatred for Hector. When the two warriors faced each other before the walls of Troy, not only the Trojans and the Greeks, but also the gods watched this duel. In the face of Achilles' rage, Hector had his courage, but that courage couldn't withstand Achilles' might. Achilles killed Hector, however. His thirst for revenge was so great that he dragged Hector's lifeless body disrespectfully. But don't we know that the price of victory is always steep? Achilles' rage led him to face death. The Trojan War was a complex and painful tale that wouldn't end with Achilles' death. Because it wasn't a sword stroke that would bring about the end of the war, it was intelligence and cunning. And that's where Odysseus comes in. Odysseus, the wise king of Ithaca. He had stood out for his intelligence since the beginning of the war. He was the one who designed the famous plan, the wooden horse, to bring about Troy's fall. The Trojan horse. That trap that changed the fate of a great city. The Greeks seemed to have won the war, but victory came with its own price. Odysseus was a man burning with the hope of returning home, but the gods wanted to turn his journey into an epic. The winds blew against him, the seas raged, giants and monsters crossed his path. Each time Odysseus found a way, but every victory took its toll. His long journey was filled not only with dangers in distant lands, but also with battles within himself. The longing in his heart for Ithaca, his wife Penelope, and his son Telemachus was the only force keeping him going. But the gods continued to test his patience. The mesmerizing songs of the sirens, the wrath of the giant Polyphemus, Calypso's love-filled prison. Every step Odysseus took was a part of fate. Finally, after years of hardship and great sacrifices, Odysseus returned home. But the return was not as simple as he had hoped. His home, his wife, and son were now threatened by strangers. And those final confrontations became moments that once again proved Odysseus' wisdom and courage. After years filled with war, he seemed to have found peace. but the echoes of this epic resonated throughout the Greek world. Ah, my friends, the decision made by Paris birthed not just a love story, but one of the greatest epics in human history. Achilles' rage, Hector's honor, Odysseus' cunning, all came together, leaving an unforgettable mark on humanity's history. This epic, where gods, heroes, and mortals intertwine, resonated beyond time. Ah yes, now I'm going to take you into the cold and dark world of the underworld. This realm, far from the grandeur of the gods in the sky, is the kingdom of a god that rules quietly by the river Hades. Can you hear the murky waters of the river Styx flowing slowly? This is the thin line separating the world of the living from the world of the dead. Welcome to Hades' kingdom, where souls set sail into eternity. It all begins when souls arrive at the riverbank. The Styx is a boundary that only the dead can cross. Souls that have severed ties with life must board the boat rowed by the ferryman Charon. But be careful, because it's not easy to please Charon. The ancient Greeks had a payment system for him, a coin placed in the mouth. If you don't pay this fare, the poor soul will be forced to wait forever at the bank of the Styx. And beyond the river, Hades' cold kingdom awaits you in silent graveyard stillness. However, this dark kingdom has its own secrets. Not just souls, but even the deepest feelings of the gods are hidden here. One of the most striking stories is Hades' deep longing for Demeter's beautiful daughter, Persephone. And this is where fate comes into play. One day, while picking flowers, the ground splits open, and Hades, in his gloomy golden chariot, abducts the young girl into the underworld. Oh, how the waters of the underground river concealed this event. At that moment, a great darkness falls upon the earth. Persephone's mother, Demeter, the goddess of fertility, suffers from the loss of her daughter and curses the land. Crops wither, the earth dries up, and hunger takes hold. The prayers of the people rise to the sky, but nothing can comfort Demeter. The earth mourns for Persephone, for she has become the queen of the underworld, alongside Hades. But even the gods eventually seek a solution. Zeus wishes to balance the unbreakable bond between Demeter and Hades, and finally an agreement is reached. Persephone will spend part of the year with Hades in the underworld, and the other part with her mother on earth. This is what initiates the cycle of the seasons. When Persephone is in the underworld, Demeter leaves the earth, the ground freezes, and winter begins. But when Persephone returns, the earth comes back to life, spring arrives, and flowers bloom. This cycle becomes a fundamental part, not only of the gods, but of human life as well. The seasons, the cycle of life, nature itself, all shaped by the tragic yet captivating story of Hades and Persephone. And so, from the depths of darkness arises hope and rebirth, reaching up to the bright light of the sky. And so, dear friends, this enchanting journey through the world of gods, heroes, giants, and myths is slowly coming to an end as we gather around the fire. As the stories flow like secrets whispered in your ear, how quickly time has passed, right? But remember, this isn't just an ending. Every ending gives birth to a new beginning. Just as the gods leave their mark in the mortal world to be remembered forever, you too will carry on your own journey with these stories. What you've learned today isn't just tales from ancient times. They are stories that continue to live beyond time, delving deep into the human spirit. Persephone's descent into the underworld is like a symbol that tells of life's cycles and the rhythm of the seasons. Theseus's unforgettable battle against the Minotaur shows us how courage and cleverness can come together. Even in Hades' cold and silent kingdom, love and desire have the power to overcome all obstacles. Who knows, maybe one day you'll share these stories with someone else. Because stories live not just through their listeners, but also through their tellers. Every time they're told, they grow a little more, becoming a bit stronger. With the wisdom you've gained from an old sage like me, you too will carry on this legacy and inspire others. Now keep these ancient tales in your mind, and don't forget to hold them close in your heart. Myths and legends are keys not only to the past but also to the future. They remind us of who we are and where we're going. Just like Odysseus' journey home, you have a journey of your own, filled with endless stories. That's all I have for today. But don't worry, next time we'll dive even deeper and encounter more legends. As long as you keep gathering around the fire, these stories will never end. Now close your eyes and let the echoes of ancient times take you to other realms. Until we meet again, may peace and wisdom be with you.